This is Tyler Kettle, and this is another reading of In Space, No One Can Hear You Clean. So at this point, Matt is kind of going through his meeting all of his bullies and getting essentially torn apart in a way. And he's also, just to catch everyone up, he's also attempting suicide, which is dark. Anyways, all the ghosts moved in closer, and I found myself surrounded by every person who had ever harmed me. From the teachers to the bullies to the bosses, they were all there. Wow, you're out of shape, said by Mrs. Parker, my exercise obsessed sixth grade teacher. She directed her cold gaze at me before walking away on her well worn Nikes. Asked by one of my former bosses, an aging brute of a man in his tight polo shirt. You're so weird, another ghost said, wearing the form of Jackson, a young classmate. These words tore into me and created more holes in my body. Other ghosts stepped forward and spoke towards me. The words were also cut into me, carving more of my body away. Over and over, I was pelted with words. Holes became plentiful, as did the pain. Please stop, I begged of the ghosts. But the barrage of words continued. In the midst of it, I no longer heard the words. I merely felt the tearing damage of them. The words slowed until eventually they stopped. Broken and damaged, I lay there on the ground. Most of my body was gone, torn off and taken to. I don't know where. In the midst of compounding pain, I managed to look up. I saw myself floating in space, surrounded by pills. At that moment, I wished for death, even more so than before. I was desperate for death. Small footsteps tore me away from my own thoughts, and I looked to my right. I saw my parents approaching, my father in his torn up work clothes and the faint scent of cigarettes wafting off of him, and my mother with her long, somewhat curly hair and big glasses. They stopped right before me and looked down at me like I was roadkill by the side of the road. Fuck, I wasn't that far from it, was I? Why do you still watch cartoons? Aren't you too old for that? When are you going to grow up? My father said to me before looking away, as if he was embarrassed. I wish you were more comfortable talking about your feelings. Never tell me anything about your life. What did I ever do to you? Where did I go wrong with you? My mother asked, her tone turning in anger. Both of their words slammed into me, breaking off another sizable chunk of my body. I fell to my side and watched them rejoin the circle of ghosts. Then the apparitions changed into the younger versions of myself. From elementary to more recent years, they were all there. Well, I guess I was older. They didn't look at me with judgment like the others had. It was a different kind of look. There was curiosity in their eyes and hope. Lots of that. I just have to get in shape. That's what I have to do. One of my teenage selves said. A piece of red, semi-transparent energy sprung from his mouth and affixed itself to my body. It took the place of one of the many holes. A strange substance. It was nothing like it was replacing. It felt foreign onto my body. It didn't seem like me. I dress like this. People will like me. Another teenage self said, wearing a leather jacket. A fragment of bright blue energy sprung from his mouth and grafted onto my body. Like the last one, I knew it didn't belong as a part of myself, but I accepted it anyway. The rest of my younger selves were speaking, and more pieces of energy were attached to my body. I heard them say all the things that I once said or thought, everything I was trying to do to fit in. Too bad I didn't see what I was truly doing to myself. I sat up and saw that my body was made of all these different shades of energy, covering up all the holes, but I didn't see myself anymore. Surprisingly, I was never in pain during this process. All I felt was numbness. And as my younger self stopped talking, all I could sense was numbness. Was this really what I'd done to myself for years? What have you done? Why would you do this? I yelled at my younger self as I rose to my feet. No need to yell at them. My twin's voice said from behind me, caused me to turn around. No need. They did this, not me. I gestured towards them. They didn't know any better, Matt. Neither do you. My twin walked towards me. He stopped to my side, staring at our younger selves. There's no sense in getting mad at your younger selves. What's done is done. You can get mad about things that happened yesterday or the day before or 10 years ago, but the truth is you can't change anything about the past. So isn't it wasted energy to look back and think about what you should have or should not have done? I mean, what's the point? Smiled slightly at me. So you're saying that there's no point? No, exactly. The past is good to learn from, but you're not meant to stay indefinitely. Twin rested his hand on my shoulder and silence developed between us. The eyes of our younger selves rested on us. What do I do now? I asked. Time to take yourself back. But first you have to tear off all that off. My other self directed gaze at the multicolored fragments of energy coating my body. All of it? I brushed a hand over one of the colored pieces on my shoulder. All of it has to go, the twin said. I can't. I took a hand away from my body. Try. My other self tapped his watch. Time is ticking after all. I took a breath, looked at my other self, and all the younger selves before me, watching me. I looked up and saw myself floating in space, close to death. Thought about dying again. I mean, what's the point to continue on? Then I looked into the eyes of my younger selves. Again, I saw the hope there. Hadn't known hope in a while, in a long time. Maybe there was a point in continuing just to find that hope again. I grabbed the first piece of energy and began to yank on it. It was painful, more painful than being torn apart in the first place. Sweat coated my forehead. The fragment of energy became looser, and somehow the extraction became more painful. I pulled and pulled until I yanked the piece out. Can't do that again, I said, as I tossed the fragment aside. Yes, you can. Twin didn't even look at me. Gritting my teeth, I reached for another one and repeated the process. It was faster this time. Soon enough, I was throwing another piece aside. I fell to the ground and breathed in and out. Drops of sweat fell off my forehead. Even under the gaze of my twin, I thought again about quitting. I mean, I had quit so much in my life that I had come a bit of a reflex. I didn't even finish the word quit before I saw Roxanne standing there. She was watching me. She waved me towards her and then ran off, disappearing into the distance. Roxanne, yelled after her, rising to my feet. Took a step towards her, but my twin grabbed my shoulder. Hold up, partner. You got to get rid of all that stuff or you get to move forward. He held my shoulder with an iron grip. Let me go. Try to move out of his hands. Not until you do what you're supposed to do. My twin spoke softly. Fine. He grabbed another piece of energy and tore it off. I moved with inhuman strength and speed, tearing off fragments as I went. I recognized the pain. I knew that I was in pain, but I didn't care. I had to move forward. Over quickly, even as sweat formed under my armpits. Finally, I found the last piece and tore it off, tossing it aside. Standing there, I was reduced to the shell I was before, Swiss cheese holes and all. I tried walking forward again, only for my twin to pull me back. You still have to pull ourselves back together the right way. He gestured before us, and the other selves disappeared. In their place, small orbs of energy covered the ground. Looking at them, I knew that they were me. They were all the pieces that I had torn out of me. Took a few steps and found myself weak. Fell to the ground. Not wasting 1 second to consider giving up, I crawled forward. Grabbing myself, I snatched the first orb and looked at it. Saw myself in it. I felt myself within its presence. Sparing no other thoughts, I slammed it into my body, closed up one of the many holes. With just one, I could sense myself becoming better, more whole, more me. I crawled and crawled, grabbing orb after orb. By every foot forward, I took more and more of myself back. By the end of it, I was standing fully on my own 2 feet. I was whole once again. All the pieces that were me were all back in place. Strangely, something felt odd, as if I was missing a piece. I looked back and saw my twin approaching me. Better? He asked. Yeah, much better, I replied, looking in the direction that Roxanne went. One last thing before you go. Mother Salt held out his hand. What's that? I stared at the palm. I'm the last piece. My twin stared at me. Thought you were just a hallucination or something like that, I said. I'm so much more than that. But you don't have a lot of time. So let's do this. An annoyed look passed over my other self's face. I reached for a hand and stopped. Wait, can I ask a question? I asked. What? My twin didn't even try to cover up the annoyed look. How long have you been down here? I asked. I don't really know. Twin's hand fell to his side. So you have no idea when you came down here, I stated. I have no idea. He looked away. It must have been lonely down here all this time. It was, but I think it was lonely for you too, my twin said. It was. It really was. Took a breath and held my hand out. Let's do this, I said. Finally, Twin grabbed my hand and I felt a surge of energy enter my body, like I grabbed onto a live wire. Fresh pain arrived along with it. Through this, I could see my twin's face turning transparent, but I also saw a thin smile there, as if he was relieved. Make sure you get back, okay? And like that, twin is gone, vanished into thin air. Stood there alone in the white space. My younger selves are gone. I looked up and saw myself floating in my capsule, still dying. Suddenly I turned and ran in the direction where I saw Roxanne go. It was time to go back.